Hey everybody, stock market breaking news alerts. Congress apparently cancels a lot of stuff upcoming here into the next week. Essentially, they canceled legislative work until October 19th. Unfortunately, that's going to probably affect that coronavirus stimulus bill that was supposed to be coming up here into the next week, especially with Trump being out of commission basically, so he can't sign anything for at least the next week. And now the Senate can't really pass law at this point due to all this going on. So that's probably going to affect the markets in a downward spiral, at least for into Monday. And then, of course, there's going to be hope of the future and blah, blah, blah. And then it's probably going to go back up. But I wouldn't expect anything too positive coming into the following week. But considering this news is coming out on a Saturday into Sunday, futures are probably going to react to it in a sour way, gradually go back up, and then kind of flatline into the next week. Because all it really is a delay. It's not a cancellation. It's not really bearish news, but they're still going to react in a negative way. So if you're a futures trader, I'd recommend considering opening a short position as close to the futures opening as you can and prep for a drop and then kind of like a quick scalping opportunity. I don't think it's going to break down the market per se, but I guess we'll see what happens. Legislature, if you're not familiar, it's essentially assembly that comes together, creates law, all this kind of exciting stuff. So I wouldn't really expect it to essentially pass anything of any big value. There might be little things that were going to be voted on, passed potentially still. It's not a complete shutdown. They seem to imply that they're still going to be doing some stuff. Whether that's going to be like the kiss of death for the market, I don't think so. I think it's more just going to be a drop, sudden drop in futures, balance it out. And, just like on Friday, where everyone was expecting, oh, the market's just going to crumble, Trump's in the hospital, so on and so forth. Ultimately, that's not what happened. And even with this, fresh delay, there isn't really anything on CNBC or whatever. They're probably going to hype it and, say how bearish it is and blah, blah, blah. But essentially, it doesn't really change the dynamic of everything. The news over the weekend, so far, at least at this point, was that things are going a little better. All these people are coming together. Munchie and Pelosi and all those kind of fun people are kind of sort of trying to push towards an actual vote on that through the Senate still. But, with Trump not being around, he can't sign anything next week. So don't expect anything for next week. Don't expect basically anything until at this point, the 19th, when they're going to reconvene. They're kind of delaying and pushing it. Obviously, it's bearish news, but relatively speaking, this gives them some time to kind of hype it up. A lot. You know how that buy the rumor, sell the news thing works. So now they have a little bit of a time frame to have that buy the rumor and continue to pump up the market a little bit before the sell the news aspect actually happens, and then which churn will create, at least in my opinion, more of a severe downturn at that point. So actually, I think the delay can be considered as bullish on a swing basis after an initial reaction, but then closer to bearish when it comes out, weeks or months from now. I think the only scenario where this might hit even more bearish is if they end up postponing it yet again until after the elections. A lot of drama going back and forth. Market really hasn't did anything or hasn't really reacted to much of anything with Trump and all that. I mean, it was down pretty big on Monday or Friday, but essentially it kind of rebounded and flatlined. And on the weekly, it really didn't do a whole lot. In the past month, it really more or less actually rebounded more than it did crushed and crashed. So that's something to consider. It's been kind of slow the last few months. Since September, though, it's been taking a little bit of a hit. But in the overall, it hasn't really did any major breakdowns. Tech pretty similar. A lot of that's at their moving averages. So just from a technical standpoint, the market's still pretty bullish. Even if it drops just a little bit more again, I really doubt that they're going to break their moving averages, break their technical setups just for the reaction to this news. You might see a little bit of a dip below temporarily, but they seem to be prepping more to push non-tech, like, defense companies and airlines and all that kind of stuff, with like the furlough related news from Pelosi that came out uh, just Friday in regards to payrolls and all that kind of stuff. And I do believe that we're going to see a general uptrend coming up here soon. I mean, a lot of these ETFs and a lot of these, companies in specific have been consolidating for weeks, months, so on and so have you. That at this point, it seems kind of ridiculous for them to consolidate for this many months and then simply dump after that. To me, that wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense. Airlines at this point consolidating since basically June from the last stimulus area here, and then, they're still way down on the yearly, relatively speaking. These are ETS, but this is just a representation of the entire sectors here. And they're still relatively down comparative to where they were last year. And although they're doing worse, there's still value in the future guidance and all that kind of fun stuff. So, relative to you, how this might affect you, feel free to leave it in the comments below what your personal opinion is. I feel that we're just going to see a sharp decline in the futures, kind of stabilization, and then we're just going to maybe bobble around on Monday with the unsure aspects. And then we're going to get some kind of hype news that's going to reflect, well, the Senate is still bullish on passing this vote, blah, blah, blah. And that's going to end up running the markets back up. Then we're probably going to get some kind of news like Trump has a miraculous recovery, blah, blah, blah. A lot of this hype news seems to be staging for a run up more than a run down. Just my opinion. Feel free to like this video. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you want more content just like this. Comments below any kind of input on videos you'd like to see in the future, any kind of videos you'd like to see maybe more following up with this particular topic. Currently, this is going to create some fluctuation, but ultimately I don't see a significant enough drop to be too worried about. But thanks for listening in, guys. See you later on and have a nice day. Or a nice weekend, rather, if you're watching this today. See you later.